Hi guys, it's Paula and I hope you are doing well. Happy New Year. Happy January 1st of 2022. This is going to be my introduction for Pan That Palette for the year 2022. I am so very excited to be bringing you a new Pan That Palette. We're going to do this again. We're going to try again. Maybe this will be the year. I doubt it, but you never know. I'm always excited and optimistic on the first day of the year for what I can potentially accomplish when it comes to project panning. And I like that. I like that, silly optimism that, keeps me going, because the truth is my stats aren't very good at finishing products. It usually takes me 2 to 3 to 4 times longer to finish something than I think it's gonna take. So if I was dealing in reality, I don't know if I could keep going. So I just have to keep being ridiculously optimistic, and that's what keeps me going. That's the key to project panning. Be a blind fool who believes you can finish everything in half the time that it takes, and you'll be very happy. That's my secret to project panning. First of all, I will be continuing on with my baby Pan That palette. That is a palette with 5 pans of eyeshadow or less. And I've been working on the Smashbox little duo over here since January of last year. I've made some progress with it. Not the best, but I'm going to keep working on this. I'm not tipping it all the way down because there's a lot of little crumblies in there. Not sure where they came from, to be honest, but I have all these crumblies, so I am going to keep working on this for 2022. See where I can go with that. And this little duo will stay in my bathroom and continue to be used until it is completely gone. There is no end date for the project with Baby Pan That palette. This project ends when this palette is gone, and then it's time to choose a new Baby Pan That palette to work on. So I really like that. I've only finished 2 Baby Pan That palettes, and I've been doing this for many years, so it's a very slow process for me, but I'm glad to be working on those little palettes. So far I've finished a quad and a duo before this, and I'm really glad to have them out, because otherwise those little palettes would just be getting completely ignored. Let's move on to Pan That palette. As you guys know, I am a big fan of the Pantastic Ladies. I think they do a really good job of coming up with some great project ideas. I don't do all of them, and I do other projects that are not necessarily Pantastic Ladies projects, but I do love the Pantastic Ladies projects. And so far, for the last 4 years or 5 years, I've gone along with the Pantastic Ladies theme for Pan That palette. I've always said, like, if it doesn't jive with my plans, I'm not gonna do it, but I can usually find a way to make it jive with my plans. And that is the case for this year as well. I am going with the Pantastic Ladies theme for Pan That palette 2022, and that theme is Size Matters. I'm sure most of you guys know this by now, but the theme for Pan That palette 2022 with the Pantastic Ladies is Size Matters. And that is open to some interpretation, but I narrowed down where I wanted to go with this pretty quickly. There were a couple of palettes that I was seriously considering for quite a while to pan for this year, and I thought I would show you what they would be. And both of these were chosen not because the amount of product they had, but the size of the bulky packaging that they are contained in. And that's why I was seriously considering both of these palettes for Pan That palette this year. Again, not because of the amount of product, but because of the bulky packaging. So the first one was this Bare Minerals palette. Look at that. She's a chunk. She is a chunkity chunk. Does this palette have a name? No, I don't know. I'm sure it did. I don't know what it's called. Oh, it just says Hello Gorgeous. I think they put that on all their palettes. I don't know what this palette is called, but this is what she looks like. There are only 6 eyeshadows and then 3 face products, a blush, a highlight, and a bronzer. I don't know if this is the most cohesive palette I've ever seen. It's kind of strange to have these super warm summery shades and then these like cool toned grays mixed in, but the amount of packaging for this little bit of product seems really disproportionate, and that's why I was definitely considering panning this for this year. In the end, I decided not to but that was one of the palettes I was strongly considering. The next palette I was seriously considering, and really I was really close to choosing, again for the bulky packaging, not for the amount of product, is this e.l.f. Beauty Journal Smoky Look palette. Why did I buy this? I don't know. I don't know why I bought this. It came with some other products. I think it came with a e.l.f. primer, e.l.f. eyeshadow primer, and maybe an eyeliner. I don't know. It's been a long time, but this palette only contains 6 eyeshadows. There's a lot of purples and kind of bronzy, browny shades. There's a black and a cream shade. But again, I think that the amount of packaging and space this is taken up in a drawer is really disproportionate to the 6 shadows in this palette. And I thought, you know what? I think this is a good candidate for the Size Matters project, but in the end, again, I decided not to go with this. As you guys know, I am seriously in the hole with my low buy update. And the truth is, even if I could finish all 6 of these eyeshadows in 1 year, that will only give me 6 points towards my low buy. And the odds are I won't finish all 6 eyeshadows. I might finish 2 or 3 and hit pan in the rest. So I had to be more practical this year. This is the first year where I'm really trying to be as practical as possible as far as what I can do to get myself out of my low buy. So I'm sure it will come as no surprise to those of you who've been following me along with this journey that the palette that I did decide to go with for my Pan That Palette 2022 is my e.l.f. 100 pan palette that is upside down. I am going with my old busted up e.l.f. 100 pan palette for my Pan That palette this year. And it's just, like I said, the reasoning is purely practical. There are 100 eyeshadows in this palette. I've hit pan on a couple, 4 so far, and there's definitely some shades that I think I can multitask a bit. I think I could use some of these as bronzers. I think I could use some of these as blush. I think I can use some of these as highlighters. Maybe I could use some of them as setting powders. I don't know, but I am going to try like heck to finish up as much of these eyeshadows as I can this year. Will I keep this after this year? I don't know. I might declutter it. I'll see how I'm feeling in 12 months. But for now, my goal is to pan this palette and to get as many empties. And what really made me realize that I was ready to tackle this palette was this shade up here. I put this dusty pink shade in my 6 by Santa project, which is only a 4-month-long project. That's a relatively short project for me. And I didn't work on this every day. I barely worked on it at all. I feel like I only used it maybe 20 times. And I got all this pan showing with just like 20 uses. And when I saw how fast I was able to get through that shade with not a lot of effort, I realized that I could get a lot of empties if I focus in on this palette from day to day. And in the end, that's why I chose this palette, because I am 96 points in the hole for my low buy bank, and I need as many empties as possible. And every one of these pans that I finish will give me a point towards my low buy. Some of the shades, like this one, even though it doesn't have pan, has got a fairly significant dip. This shade down here is currently in a project, and my goal is just to hit pan on it for that project. So I'm going to be focusing in on that one, obviously, initially, to try and hit pan on that, not only for this project now, but for the 50 Shades of Purple project that this pan is currently in. I think there are definitely going to be some duds in this palette that I just don't like and don't enjoy, but I'm probably going to work around those and try to work with the eyeshadows that I do enjoy. So my goal is to really use what I love out of this palette. And if everything left at the end of the year is something that I don't love, I won't feel bad about tossing the rest of this out, because this was a free palette that I didn't pay for, and I've had it forever. It's broken, you know, it's not like this fancy high-end quality, But there are some good shadows within this palette, and I would like to get some use out of it and enjoy the ones that are good and worth using. There's a lot of black down here. There's like 5 shades of black, which is crazy. But yeah, this is my Pan That palette for 2022. Can you believe it? I think some of you saw this coming, but honestly, if I wouldn't have been in the hole for my low buy update, this would not have been the palette I chose for my Pan That palette this year. I would have gone with one of those 2 palettes, but because I am so far in the hole with my low buy and I'm just desperate to get some empties, I thought, you know what? I can finish these eyeshadows off. I know I can. I cannot believe how much progress I made on this one shadow using it every now and then. Like, imagine how fast it will go once I'm working on it every day. So yeah, that's what's going on. Normally, during my Pan That palette, I give myself the first month to explore my Pan That palette. Normally, with my Pan That palette, I'm using a palette that is brand new and I've never used even once or more than a couple of times. And I really want to give myself that first month of the year to familiarize myself with the palette and come up with some looks. But I've given myself a different challenge for this month. I am fairly familiar with this palette. I've used it a lot. I'm wearing it today. I've been putting these shadows individually in projects for years now. So I do feel like I know this palette to some extent. So my challenge that I'm gonna give myself for the month of January is a little bit different. First of all, I do have a look that incorporates this palette and my Pat McGrath purple eyeshadow, and that is the look I'm wearing today. So I have that purpley shade that's in my Pan in Every palette here. You guys know I'm determined to hit pan on this month. So this shade right here is the one I wanted to incorporate into a look. So I have this all over my eyelid today. I just applied it with my finger. And then I have this purple down here that's in my 50 Shades of Purple project in the crease and the outer V, and this dusty pink blended out in the transition area. And that's it, just those 3 shadows. And then I have Colored Pops Couche on my inner corner as a highlight. So that is a look I really like. I would like to pan that look a lot in the month of January. But my other challenge that I'm giving to myself is to come up with a look using this palette that also incorporates MAC Cranberry. This eyeshadow single is in my Dude You Pan My Battleship project. And believe it or not, that project is still going on. I owe you guys an update. There's not a whole lot going on my end. Elizabeth has made some accomplishments, but she has also given me fair warning that she is going to get back to that project come January 1st. So I need to make at least some attempt to play against her. Otherwise, she's gonna get bored out of her mind and never talk to me again. So this is Max Cranberry. It's a shadow that I've been claiming to target as far as my Dude You Pan My Battleship project, but the truth is, I wear it maybe once a month, if that. I'm not really panning this. So what I think would be really helpful is if I could come up with a look that uses this and this palette together and have 2 looks to pan for the month of January. So either I'll be wearing this purple look or the look that incorporates this shadow from day to day. And that is it for the month of January. I am going to try to stick to that for the entire month, given, you know, a couple of cheat days here and there, like less than 5 cheat days. But basically for the other 25, 26 days of the month, I want to be doing those 2 looks that use this palette and the Pat McGrath La Vie en Rose or Max Cranberry in a look. So that is the challenge I am giving myself for the month of January. Hopefully I will have pan on that purple shade down here by next month, and I will have expanded the pan on the dusty pink some more. And I will have hit pan on that Pat McGrath eyeshadow so I could roll it out of the Pan in Every palette project. But in the meantime, I would also like to test out some of these shades down here as face highlights and see if any of them will work for a face highlight and what I think about that. And maybe try some of these pinks in this row as a blush too, just for poops and giggles, see what happens. So that's my homework for the month. I've given myself quite a few assignments, but I do really need to hit the ground running with this palette and make some things happen ASAP, because I need some empties and I need some pans. Even though there are 100 pans in this palette, and I haven't finished any of them yet, technically. I've hit 4 pans, none are empty. Every pan has product in it. These pans are relatively small, and these pans are relatively shallow. So I think I can do more with this 100 pan palette than I could with a lot of the other palettes I've panned in the past. At least, again, that's what my optimistic side is thinking. We will see. So that is it for this introduction to Pan That Palette. I know it's a lengthy one. They won't normally be this long, but I felt like I had a lot of info to give, but that's what's going on. I'm very excited. Are any of you surprised? What did you think I was gonna pick for my Pan That Palette? I wanna know. But anyways, that is everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.